our show was kind of treated like shit, right? Like, I get it. We're on the CW. I get it. It's TV. But I also get the fact that, when people think about the most recent iteration of DC, okay, they don't think about the Snyder Cut. They think about the Arrowverse. And we got crapped on for years and years and years. And this just seemed excessive.
That was Stephen Amell in an interview that he did, I think it was a week or two ago, where he was asked about a joke that Peacemaker made in his show, and the interviewer was asking him for his reaction to it and all that. And, he went on a long answer, but in the answer, as the clip I just showed, which you can look up the full clip, by the way, you can see the credit in the bottom of the screen there. In the clip, he said that when people think of DC, they think of the Arrowverse. They don't think of Snyderverse. And he's not wrong. He's getting hate for it right now. I think we can all guess from what group of DC is sending hate towards his way. But he's not wrong. When you think of DC, most people, including myself, think of either the animated universe, the DCEU with Batman animated series and the Justice League Unlimited shows and all that, or the Arkhamverse, if you're a gamer, or the Arrowverse. Or maybe even like the OG Keaton Batman movies, or the Batman movies with Robert Pattinson in them now. That is like the only things you think about when you think about DC. When you think about DC, you're not thinking about the Justice League movie that came out in 2015 or 17, whatever. You're probably going to think about, at that point in time in DC, probably the crossover the Arrowverse did called Crisis on Earth X that actually did better than the Justice League movie. And was even praised by the DCEU fandom because it was better. And it's like a more Justice League type movie than the actual Justice League movie. When there's a solo Batman or a solo Superman film in a DCU, The Man of Steel, which gets praised all the time now, apparently. And then they do a Superman show, which, look, the show's not perfect. It's not. As many of you who watch this channel may very well know, I've been known to hate on the show for like 2 years now. Because I think season 3 and 4 have been, or we're not on 4 yet. Because I think season 2 was just dog shit, and season 3 was just something. It was better season 2, but it was not better, in my opinion. But the point is that they still made Superman at least a better character than they did in Man of Steel. And I'm not saying he was bad in Man of Steel, but you're not thinking of Superman as the Man of Steel that we saw in the DCEU. You're just not. Because he was dog shit in Justice League movie. And we saw him in Black Adam, which was great, but then they trashed him again. And that's not Henry's fault. Henry was a great Superman. But his writing was shit. And I'm not saying Tyler's perfect either, because his writing is also pretty shit. But when you think of Superman right now, you're thinking of the actors or the show. Or maybe that James Gunn movie that he's filming right now. When you think of Batman, obviously not going to think about the Arrowverse because, well, there was no Batman in the Arrowverse. Besides Batwoman, and with respect to her, she didn't stand up to Batman. When you think of The Flash, most people think of Grant. Whether you like the show or not, most people do. And the fact is that Grant is, to most people, including myself, the definitive Flash. And no one can ever top that for most Flash fans. Ezra couldn't do it because, well, they were something else. And their movie was shit. The first live-action Flash movie was shit. There is no walking around the fact that the DCEU was worse on every level than the Arrowverse. Now, the Arrowverse is not great. it has a lot of flaws, mainly in the writing. But the fact is that when people think of DC, the Arrowverse tends to be one of the most things they think about. May not be the first, but it's definitely more than in DCEU, or arguably even what James Gunn's doing right now. I mean, honestly, I can't even think of the last time I thought what James Gunn is doing, because I do not care. I know a lot of fans do care. That's great. There's a reason why I've been uploading months over a DC thing. It's because I don't care. Because I don't trust James Gunn. People can hit me on that. That's fine. But I do not trust James Gunn to deliver an actual serious Superman movie and actually make it good. Because Zack Snyder couldn't even do that right. The fact is, at least in my opinion, you can disagree, that's fine. The fact is that the Arrowverse, when it comes to the heroes, like Flash, or Supergirl, or Superman, or Arrow, Green Arrow, whatever, it tends to come down the Arrowverse. When it comes to crossovers, people think about the Arrowverse. When people think about the Justice League, it tends to branch over to the Arrowverse, that or the animated series. No person, unless you're in the Snyder cult, is going to think about the Justice League and say, remember that Justice League movie? The live action one? You are not thinking about that. Unless you are in a cult, then you will. But there's no way in living hell that you're actually thinking about the Justice League and saying, remember this, the first live action Justice League movie? If anything, you'll mention the 4 Justice League anime movies that they came out with. The Justice League show, animated show, the Justice League Unlimited animated show, or the Justice League in the Arrowverse, because it was technically the first live-action Justice League we've had in years at that time. Because the DCEU, again, did not have a legitimate Justice League until the Justice League movie that came out 4 years into the Arrowverse. And it's important to know that at the time that the Flash show was casting Grant, they had just casted Ezra, and it took them over 10 years to get that shitty movie done. So yes, I think it's very fair to say that Steven is 100% right. And when people think about DC, they tend to think about the Arrowverse, not the Snyder Cut, because the Snyder Cut was shit. And the DCU is, and still is, shit. Because they didn't do it right. They never have. Even with the Arrowverse, it was nowhere near great. It was good, but it was not great. They botched a lot of shit. And they screwed over a lot. They were on the CW. As Steven even said in that clip, they were on the CW. It was not great. His own words, it was not great. Because it wasn't. But the fact is, compared to the DCEU, the Arrowverse looks like just pretty much perfect compared to the DCEU. Because the DCEU rushed it, botched it, and then blew it. Within a matter of one movie. Which was the Flash movie. Which was the Black Adam movie. Or the Man of Steel movie. Or Justice League movie. Literally, every movie in the DCEU botched it, blew it, and ruined it. But they didn't catch on. And now James Gunn is doing the new DCU, which I'm sure will stick very well. And then, who knows where that's going to go. But reminder, James Gunn's the same guy who said the Flash movie was, quote, a great movie and the best movie he's ever saw. And yet, we're going to trust him to make better movies than that. Okay. I know I went a little rant here, but I just want to get on my chest. I mean, it is so... Stephen Amell's not perfect. He's been, controversial lately. But, I'm sorry. The Snyder cult is dead. Okay? The Snyderverse is dead. Thank fuck. Because it is so stupid. so stupid that the Arrowverse cannot save the DCU. It can, and it has. It's whether or not the Arrowverse fans want to admit that or not. Was Zero's perfect? No, it's not even great. But compared to DCU, yeah, it stood up in a lot more ways than DCU ever could. And that's a fact. Thank you for watching my little rant. Or I guess my 10-minute rant. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. I don't know what to upload next. Maybe soon, maybe later. I don't know. We'll find out. But thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next video, whenever that may be. Thank you, guys.